It's the Almost Perfect podcast.
Welcome to the Almost Perfect Podcast, a celebration of fuck ups, failures, and falling flat on your face. This is a podcast that believes you can learn from experience, but that experience doesn't have to be your own. Hi, I'm Bob Perfect, and I'm a functional fuck up. Let's learn from somebody else's mistakes. And today we're learning from Majozi. That's right, singing sensation, sweetheart, and heartthrob Majozi. I'm taking the piss a little bit there because I go pretty far back with Nshlanshla, and yeah, man, like it's been really cool to see his career grow and to see him grow and to see, yeah, the heights that he's reached. Because, like you'll hear in this podcast, you know, he didn't start out that way. He certainly did not start out as the Majozi that you probably know and probably love, depending, like, I think this is going to be an interesting podcast because of, like, my typical audience, I think, or the audience that would typically be attracted to me. If you're new to this, I am an atheist. I used to be a bit of a hectic about it. These days I'm pretty chilled about it. But yeah, like I'm a atheist punk, fuck the police kind of person. And Majozi, not so much. He did start out in the punk scene, but definitely not like, someone who you're going to imagine busy tagging police stations or, throwing stuff at riot police or anything. I don't know. As you can tell, my Twitter feed today is quite hectic, and we'll probably chat about that just now. But yeah, we go pretty far back, Majozi and I. We both were in the punk and hardcore scene here in Durban, and Majozi actually started out in punk and hardcore bands. Don't know if you knew that. But yeah, we started out in the same scene on different sides of it because there was like the Christian hardcore, and then there was like the rock and roll hardcore side of things, and we all kind of came together and converged and would interact, and it would be it was such an interesting time. And I'm not going to get too much into it in the intro because we do discuss it quite a bit in the podcast, but yeah, it's cool to look back at that and see how much it influenced things, and also just to see how silly some of the stuff was. Like, 'cause there were some conflicts. If you were a part of the Durban hardcore and punk scene, I think you remember the Facebook arguments that the scene would get involved in. I remember some pretty interesting stuff going down. But years later, you look back at all of that stuff, and it's like it's really cool that we had those dialogues across religious lines, across cultural lines, across just different class lines, even, I guess. It's kind of cool that music can do that it can bring people together from a wide variety of circles, and you can find some common ground. And I think that's why I've always, liked Majozi, because we do have common ground. We do have things that we both like and enjoy. And I also just think he's a good dude. Like, he's someone I've always enjoyed talking to. Like, I love just chatting to him. He cares, like, he's someone who genuinely, when he asks you a question, like, I feel like he wants, like, if he asks me, how are you, Bob? I feel like he wants to know how I am. And, that's a rare quality in people. So I've always had a lot of time and respect for Majozi. And like I say, that might seem weird if you have an understanding of me that might be a little bit different to that. But when you listen to this conversation, I think you'll get to understand both me and him in different lights. Like, I'm sure I don't know how much you know about Majozi. I don't know how much people in general do. I mean, I don't know who you listening to this are right now. I think we're going to have a bit of a wide range of people this time because I'm hoping some of Majozi's audience comes along and listens to this podcast as well. And you're going to find out some new things about your boy there. I definitely think so. And one of the coolest things about this chat, for me personally at least, was Majozi bringing up when he played a gig at Cool Runnings here in Durban, and it wasn't that well attended, and he was singing his songs, but he changed some of his lyrics because he knew I was there, and like, I'm an atheist, and he didn't want to offend me. And after the show, I told him, dude, please don't do that. Just be yourself. Do the thing that makes you you. And, he took that advice, and it turns out it's kind of worked out all right for him. So, yeah, like it's an interesting thing for me to look at, just because, like, I always see my history as an atheist as being more on the dickheadish side of it. And as I've grown older, I want to be more on the empathetic side of it. I don't want to be such a mean bastard about other people's, beliefs. We're all trying to figure it out. We're all trying to just get through life, and we all have a different understanding of how things work, and that's okay. Like, that's a pretty cool thing, I think. But obviously, I've got my issues when it comes to religion, and I'm sure religious people have their issues when it comes to atheists, and that's the whole thing. You're going to have issues with other people. Like, you're not going to agree with everything. But if you can still get along, if you can still find common ground, if you can still, just not let that shit get to you. And obviously, I'm not talking about racism and stuff like that, where people like homophobia, transphobia, those kind of things. Nah, we're not going to have polite conversations about that. I'm sorry, you're being violent in those cases, and in a lot of those cases, and so it's kind of hard to not be violent back. You're going to get that back. I feel like I'm veering off a little bit at the moment, but like I was saying, things at the moment are pretty hectic around the world. It's tense, man. It is very, very tense. It's not getting better, Things aren't calming down. Things aren't. Well, it depends on where you are, I guess. But if you're on the internet today, I'm sure you are seeing tons of stuff about America at the moment. That place seems to be burning. And, obviously the police violence there. But here in South Africa, I mean, you have the murder of Collins Khoza by the SANDF, and they've been admonished by that. Like, they've said, nah, our internal probe says this is totally fine. But if you read the details of that, it's absolutely horrifying. And, yeah, like, it's just the government versus the people thing, but also the people versus the people thing. And it's all becoming quite a lot at the moment. And, part of me just wants to be like, oh, let me just shut Twitter off and not think about it and all of that. But you can't do that. And, like, it is still just going to be in my mind for a while again. And it shouldn't, it should be in my mind, and it should be in your minds, and we should be trying to fucking dismantle these systems that are in place. But it does feel overwhelming. It does feel very scary, and especially with this pandemic at this time, it very much feels overwhelming, and like, don't really know what to do. But there are, ways to help. There are people out there who are on the ground fighting these things, who are doing good work there. I know there's oh man, I actually should have had stuff prepared for this. But sorry, like I wasn't thinking about really what I was going to say at the beginning of this podcast, and well, I wasn't thinking about talking about this stuff at least. And yeah, but there are civil society organizations that you can contribute to if you don't know how to contribute in any other way. You can donate your time, you can donate your money to various causes, and I highly recommend doing that. I don't, like I was going to say, like, I know there are lawyers like who will be helping out. I think in terms of the Collins Khoza case, I've seen on my timeline at least there's a lot of lawyers who are angry about it, and they're the kind of people who tend to handle these things. But I don't have a link for you to donate anywhere there, but maybe next week I will, or I'll share stuff online. And yeah, if you follow me on Twitter, you'll probably see over the next few days different links to various things that hopefully we can use to try and, I don't know, man, just help other people. if you can. I feel like, sorry, like that wasn't the most cohesive and planned out intro, but I just don't know what to think at the moment. I just don't know. Like, I was like yesterday, I was just feeling sad and sorry for myself. because I did like an interview with Dylan Oliphant for Almost Live. And I think it's probably at about like 20 views on YouTube at the moment. And, I thought an interview with Dylan Oliphant would probably do a bit better than that, especially straight after he's done his one-man show. And so I was just like feeling sad for myself and this and that. And then like it was just like all this other stuff happens or like comes to light, and it's just like, dude, what are you doing? Why are you focused on all these silly things when there's so much real shit happening in this world? And like, we need to get off our asses and do something. But we're stuck in our homes and aren't really allowed to get out and do something. But that's also kind of a cop-out. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. I really don't. I do know that from 1st of June here in South Africa, things are probably going to get a little weird. And, it's... Please just stay inside if you can. That's the only thing I'm going to say about the whole matter. Like, a lot of stuff's going to be opened up. A lot of businesses are going to be going back. A lot of those, a lot of people are going to be coming into contact with each other again. We're now going to be heading into a period where more people are going to contact this disease. And, it's... It's looking a little bit grim, and I'm sorry I don't have anything positive to say about that at the moment. I'm not feeling very positive today. Like, this morning, in general, it just feels like the world is on fire, and it just feels like it should be on fire. Like, there's so much injustice, there's so much wrongdoing, there's so much nonsense, there's so much corruption, there's just so much fucking bullshit, man, and it's just... when are we gonna have a worldwide French Revolution? Like, that's kind of what I'm thinking at the moment, and it feels like we might be headed that way. But maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there won't be change. Maybe the forces in power will always find ways to temper things down. Like, there'll always be flare-ups, and they'll always be managed and controlled, and I don't know. You know what? Let's end that there. Let's end that talk there. Sorry for delving into things I probably shouldn't even be talking about, because I'm not even knowledgeable enough on them. So let's head into the let's head into the ad reads. And by ad reads, I mean it's you guys. You are the ones who sponsor this podcast. That's right. This is a listener-supported podcast, and you can do so by going to patreon.com/almostperfect. At the moment, we've got a tier there called the Titular Titles tier. And if you want to be a part of the cast and crew of this podcast, if you want to have your name read out in here and you want to have a cool title ascribed to your name, then all you got to do, go there and give me $10 a month. Now, that $10 a month is going to stuff like Hindenburg, which is this program that I'm using to record now. It's going towards using programs for Almost Live. It's going towards hosting for a website that you're going to be seeing hopefully in the next month. So, your money is being spent in ways to make this podcast better, but it would also be helpful to go towards rent at some points as well. So, yeah, man, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 people at the Titular Titles tier at the moment. We've got King Julian. We've got Chief Sales Officer of Subtle Heresies in the Greater Overberg region, Rousseau. We've got His Excellency, President for Life, Field Marshal Stephen Olivier, VC, DSO, I messed that one up again. Okay, let's start it again. He's paid us $10. He deserves the whole thing. His Excellency, Presidency... I'm sorry. His Excellency, President for Life, Field Marshal Stephen Olivier, VC, DSO, MC, Lord of all the beasts of the earth and fishes of the seas, and conqueror of the British Empire in Africa in general and certain parts of KwaZulu-Natal in particular. Or something slightly less pretentious like executive producer. And we've got a new person at the $10 tier. We've got Karan Sleman, and he is the Almost Perfect Youth Leader. Now, Karan is also a musician, and he goes by the name of Parable, and I highly recommend checking out his last release. I wrote about it for Bubblegum Club, actually. So go check that out. And yeah, shout outs to all four of you. I greatly appreciate everyone that is actually on Patreon at the moment. I think we've got 16 or 17 people there at the moment, bringing in about $1,500 a month. And honestly, that's amazing to me. Like, that is so, like, it's, the goal, it's what I wanted, it's what I've been hoping for. Like, but when I started this podcast, I didn't think it would actually happen, like getting people to actually buy into products here in South Africa is difficult. So I'm really, really, really grateful that some of you are actually putting some of your money towards this podcast and helping make it better. And I promise you, in a little while, you're gonna see a lot of good stuff coming out of myself, I guess. I'm working a lot in the background at the moment to make Almost Perfect a bigger thing, and with your help, I'm actually able to do that. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And sorry for this incredibly long intro, but it's been a chaotic week. It's going to probably continue to keep being chaotic, and I just needed a little space to vent just a little bit, because I'm tired of being on Twitter, man. I am, but at the same time, you got to stay informed, you got to be a part of the conversation, you've got to speak up against injustice, I guess. So yeah, you can't just bury your head in the sand. I'm sorry, you just can't. So let's play our part. Let's try and just wait. Like, I know, like, I'm not a motivational speaker. I know that's not my thing. But I do feel strongly that at this moment we should be doing everything we can to try and make things better immediately around us. If you've got charity organizations, NPOs, NGOs, even just the homeless person on the street, that you see, just try and be more empathetic, try and be more kind, try and just help, if you can help. That's all I'm going to say now. So yeah, thank you for allowing me the time to say all of that. Here comes the Almost Perfect podcast with Majozi. How are you living, Majozi?
I'm living well. I'm grateful for the things I have in this crazy time, and I'm still eating well, still exercising, doing a lot of things. So I recognize my privilege. So I've got no complaints there.
Yeah, I figured you were going to be someone who didn't open up by complaining like about things going on. Just the way I know you, like, you are someone who does tend to veer towards gratitude and trying to be content with everything. But I'm sure it's been a little bit of a struggle at the moment. What are you frustrated with when it comes to, this lockdown situation?
Wow, dude. Jeez. If I had to get into it, I guess it's just the process of trying. So I'm in the process of trying to make a song.
Okay.
And I've got a couple of some gear at home, but like I don't have necessarily the correct mic to record a song that needs to go out and be on radio, and there's so much stuff that I don't have. So we've had to try and figure out ways to try and, me to record at home and then send it to someone, but then it's not good enough. And there's a lot of back and forth, dude, a lot of sneaking around, borrowing stuff, trying to do things. And it's like, that's been super frustrating, I guess. And just not seeing your mates, man, like not seeing your friends. Yeah, dude, it's like, I mean, I don't really go out that much in the first place, but like not seeing people has actually been the worst, dude. It's driven me mad.
That's the thing. Like, I've become like, quite a homebody as I've gotten older, but even me, I'm just like, it would be nice to just have a beer with some friends and just talk some shit for like, old time's sake. Like, just not have this looming specter like over us at all times, and not even be able to like crack jokes with your friends in person about it,
Yeah, dude. It's like I miss the days when it was like we would laugh about like fire in the booth, like 2 plus 2 is 3, quick maths. Like that was like the thing, the things we would enjoy and just make fun of that. Now it's like everything is just about Corona, dude. Every meme that comes out, just like I forget about it now. Yeah.
But like speaking of like better times and simpler times, people listening to this might not actually know, but we go pretty far back. Not like, we were best mates or anything, but we were part of the Durban hardcore scene together, and those were some very good times.
Oh, glorious times, dude. The Winston, Willowvale, all the bands, City of Gates,
Bro,
Go Go Bronco,
the church shows like were even like lit, like
the church shows.
it was such a different like
Those were good.
time period, eh?
Yeah, man. That's 07, 08. I think there was just, it was special, dude. I remember all the bands that used to come from like Cape Town and Joburg, and they'd be like, what is this? Like, people actually come to shows, and we would just go crazy and enjoy ourselves. Like, yeah, man, that was a really, really special period. Made lots of friends. Lots of friends.
Yeah, like I think the one photo that you and I have together is us moshing, and like it's like I think either my legs in the air or your legs in the air, and one of us is like head banging, and it was just like absolute chaos. But you started out your music career in a hardcore band, right, or a metalcore band, or am I wrong there?
Yes, yeah. No, that's definitely correct. Like I was in, well, first we had a little band called Skyward Bound, which was a punk band. And we kind of just whined. We had little whiny voices, like still in high school. And it was my friend Nick Ferreira. And then I think Andrew Carey, who's passed away, was in that band. And then we kind of went through different bassists. I think Louis actually played bass for us at one stage.
Old Louis de Villiers.
I think he did. I can't remember. Good old Louis did. What a legend. And yeah, then that progressed. Then Nick and I joined another band called, their name's eluding me right now. Gosh, hardcore band. Help me out. Yeah.
I can't even remember, bro. There were so many at that
Dean
time.
Krobler. Show and Tell.
Was it Show and Tell? Were you in Show and Tell? Okay, yes. Because at first I thought you were City of Gates, but then I remembered who was in City of Gates, and like it wasn't you. And then I was like, I was trying to remember before this, like which was the hardcore band that you were in. But yeah, so you were in Show and Tell.
Yeah. Show and Tell, and then like I left Show and Tell, and then yeah, that was kind of the start of my, I guess, music playing career. It was a lot of fun, man. Like often on Facebook I get like memories, all the pictures are blurry. Always blurry.
Yeah, the digital cameras back then were not great. Like I remember having a camera back then and trying to take photos at gigs. Your cell phone these days takes a better photo.
Way better, dude. But it was still fun, it was still cool. Like I remember like on like a Monday or a Tuesday when Amy, I think her name was Amy Crabtree, would just post like, tag you in like 60 pictures, dude. I'd be so stoked. I'd be like scouring through them to see which one I was going to use for my profile.
Yeah, because she actually had an SLR. So.
Yeah, dude. So no, those are good times, dude. Like we made a lot of good friends, learned a lot about playing live, and just it was a really, really fun time. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, man. How did that start? How did you get into hardcore and punk? Like, because people who listen to your music these days, if they don't know your story and that, I imagine they would have no clue like that you started out, listening to music with like screaming and like 3 chords and just like discordant noise,
Yeah, true. That's a good question, man. I think just from like when my mates and I just started high school, we really got into punk, and that was like the base, and back then it was like you would spend like a day uploading a song because it was just dial-up. So one guy would download these songs, you would download these songs,
and then you'd share hard drives.
Share it,
Yes.
Share hard drives, dude. Yes, it was difficult, but I think because it was so difficult, It was rewarding, exactly. And like, if you're going to spend that much time trying to get a song, you're going to listen to that song over and over again, you know?
And also, you'd spend time with albums because you can't just skip to the next thing. Like, you got 3 albums that weekend, you know. So for that week, that's all your new music for the next week is going to be those 3 albums.
100%, dude. I remember, like, we had a lip club for school in the morning. Just pop in that CD, dude, and that's it. Just press play. Like, no fast forward or skip back. You just press play from beginning to the end, dude. So, yeah, that's kind of how it started. You know, eventually we progressed to started getting a little bit more pocket money. So we'd order CDs online and wait like 6 months for them to arrive.
I still remember, who was it? Pablo from the crime scene from New York would bring over CDs. I still remember that.
Yes, dude. Yeah, dude. So yeah, it was a special time, and eventually, you know, like, we started playing instruments because a lot of my mates and I were playing in church already. So we were like, okay, cool. You know, you can play drums, I could play guitar, and then we just started forming bands. So we were like all in little punk bands. I don't know if you remember, like, all the churchy punk bands, but there was like No Tuck Money, obviously like Sibling Rivalry, not a church, but like that was a whole scene. Hoggity Hog was massive, and they used to have that massive jewel at the Wave House.
Uprisings, yeah, man. Uprisings was,
man.
oh man, like, that is something that, like, I still like feel like super nostalgic towards, and just wish that, like, those are the things I really miss, like, about modern society. It's like music festivals aren't even like what they were. You know, music festivals are great these days, but it's almost like too sanitized and like too much about trying to look cool and trying to be cool. Whereas back in the day, going to a music festival was pretty much about having fun and, like, not caring, like, just having fun in the silliest ways, you know?
Yeah, and I remember, like, at uprisings when the bassist from Half Price would just get totally naked, and I would be like, "Wow, okay, this guy's having a really, really good time." But like, no one minded, you know. Everyone was just having a super good time. There weren't like any fights or anything. Not that I remember.
Not
I just remember
often.
everyone
Like, at the Winston, there were from time to time some fights, but that's gonna happen at a punk bar.
Yeah, exactly. But it wasn't like a usual occurrence. It was just like everyone was having fun, you know?
Yeah, and especially the hardcore scene. The hardcore scene didn't have violence in it, like, which is ironic. Like, it was more the punk side of things where things got a little like sketchy. But in the hardcore scene, it was mostly made up of nice people. Like, that's what's kind of funny. And it was like,
dude.
there were some divides at times between the atheists and the Christians, but for the most part, like, that convergence actually bred like a really cool crossover and a lot of good dialogue, I think, came out of it.
100%, dude. I think like we just learned to kind of respect each other from those times, you know, especially like if the guys were super skilled at what they did, you know, like I remember my mate Nick Ferreira, when he played in City of Gates, like, he shredded, dude. I remember I think he almost failed his whatever he was studying because he just used to practice guitar every day for like 11 hours, dude. And yeah, I think you can develop like a mutual respect, you know, like maybe you don't believe or necessarily agree with everything the other person agrees with, but like when it comes to the music, you know, like you can pretty much agree on a good song or in what sounds
Yeah, man,
good,
I was in the pit for the Rising End like all the time. Like,
Oh,
and the Rising End were
dude.
like singing songs fully just about loving Christ, and
Oh.
like there I am with, you know, the Go-Go Bronco atheist crew, like, you know,
Yeah.
the rock and rollers busy jawling hard, and yeah, just like also singing along and having the best time to like bands like the Rising End, and then you would have like, yeah, the Christian crew
Yeah.
like coming through and dancing along to Go-Go Bronco, who are busy singing about partying and just like it was a vibe, man.
Ah, it was a vibe, dude. Go Bronco at Burn. Oh, dude, you're bringing back memories now, dude. You're bringing back memories.
It's yeah, it's kind of interesting that you started out in the scene that's just like high energy and just like loud and noisy, and you've got a much more mellow route. What happened there, bro?
So eventually, like, I mean, I still listen to all that music, but it got to the stage where I wanted to kind of do things on my own, and I wanted to figure out a way how I could perform, because it's quite difficult. Like, I mean, I remember those days, like, Oz would carry around huge cab amps and like
Drums.
drum kits,
Yeah.
like, and it was crazy, dude. And I never had a car, dude. Like, I still don't have a car, in fact. And eventually, like, I got like a little scooter, and I just found like it was like the heart of like the folk scene, and like that was coming out, and I was like, oh wow, I can do this literally on my own. Like, I can loop a little thing on a looper, and I can do this, and I can kind of entertain people and get people's attention for long enough. And I just really enjoyed it. I enjoyed like the kind of nostalgic songwriting style of folk music, and that's just pretty much how I got into it. It just appealed to me so much for doing my own thing.
I get that. And especially like it's happened a lot like with people who started out in bands, not just, going like the folk route or whatever, but there's been a big divergence into the electronic music scene from people. I mean, even Skrillex like is like probably the biggest like poster child for that, starting out in like a punk hardcore band and going and becoming like a dubstep legend. And even locally, like we've kind of had that with a lot of different musicians, because being in a band is hard, bro. Like it's like you say, there's 4 or 5 of you, you've all got to get to band practice, you've all got to get to the show, you've got to cart your equipment around, you've got to pay for like spaces to practice, you've got to like do so many things. So bringing it all into yourself helps in a lot of different ways in terms of not just creative direction, I guess, but also just in being able to be self-reliant and not have to have all those other aspects kind of not dragging you down, but just being obstacles in the way of, doing the thing you want to do, I guess.
100%, dude. And I also found like guys were getting older,
Yeah.
So, they were finishing varsity and moving to different areas and this and that. And I really enjoyed playing. So I wanted to continue playing. And that was one of the ways that I could continue playing, and it makes less noise.
But you knew it wasn't like just a phase for you, like, because obviously starting out in bands when you're young, you think, hey, gonna do this forever, and then you do it for a few years, and then like the reality of it sets in, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna go get a job. But for you, it was the opposite. You were just like, no chance, I'm doing this, but just in a different way.
It didn't start like that at all, dude. So I just did it because it was my hobby. It was something that I was kind of good at, but I never thought that I would get to where I am now. Like I never thought I'd make a career out of it. It was something that I was like, I'm going to continue playing, but I'm not going to like make a life out of this.
Okay. So what was your plan?
So I had no plan, to be honest, dude. I was just working
Your
at the bank.
Banan's going to be upset with you. You need to have a plan at 18, bro.
Yeah, dude, that's the thing, dude. I was just like, oh, cool, dude. I'm gonna make enough money to support my mother and myself. I'll work at the bank, maybe work my way up, and that was my thinking of life. I had a few friends that were studying music at UKZN, and like, but at that early stage, like, I didn't know anyone who had kind of broken through yet, and so that was just my vibes. Just play open mics, work at the bank, and like whenever I could, go to open mics around there, here and there. Every now and then, someone would be like, "Play at my wedding, please," mates, and I'd play at their weddings, and that's kind of how it started until I left the bank. And then I started working for church, and I started doing music at church. And then I started getting a lot more free time, and the guys encouraged me, and they were like, no, you should play more. And then I just kept on playing. I played more and more, started writing my own stuff, and started really enjoying it and understanding a little bit more of like my talent and what I wanted to do, and just gradually built and built and built.
That's awesome, man. Because I was actually going to ask, it's on my list of questions, how important has, the church been in your career? Because I know, partially one of the reasons why you started music was because of your friends, and I assume you guys were all friends from church as well as school, because as long as I've known you, you've been like part of the church crew, like, in the music scene. So yeah, how important has that been for you?
Dude, it's been super important, dude, just for the mental support. Well, not the mental support, like the emotional support, and just like super encouraging people. Like I've never had that much belief in myself, but the guys around me had a lot of belief, and like I never really doubted what they were saying. And it kind of gave me the strength to carry on and just do what I was doing and not give up, like especially when you start, like when I started playing shows at like the botanical gardens and things like that.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
I had no idea. I had no idea if I could do it. Like I was just like, I would just say yes, because those guys kind of built up my belief in myself, and I knew they believed in me, and I knew they were praying for me, and they supported me a lot, man. Like they came to shows, they would just buy a lot of tickets, and people would come. So
and help promote
super important. 100%, dude. Help promote at church and stuff, dude. But I'll tell you one thing. I actually had a conversation with Brad Kleinsmith from Gangs of Ballet about this the other day, dude. But one thing that was like the turning point for me was it was so when I decided that when I was trying to decide what I wanted to do, it was like, am I gonna be myself about this and make music that I enjoy that kind of has Christian undertones, or am I just gonna be a straight up gospel singer? Like, what am I gonna do? And it was kind of like there wasn't really at that time an example of anyone who had done it. Like,
was it Matthew Mole up there
except
yet?
for Matthew Mole, except for him. So he was the only one. So we were just like, I just have conversations with guys
in South Africa, right? Because
back then
overseas that had happened quite a bit. Like I think a lot of the music you probably grew up listening to had that.
Yeah, 100%, dude. So it was just that, like, would another South African, how much space is there in an already small industry for another person like that,
Well,
so anyways, I remember one time, dude. Yeah, it does. Yeah, you're right, dude. It did. But so this is what I'm saying. So like the one time I was playing at Cool Runnings, and you were there.
I was gonna say, was that the show I was there?
Yes, you were there, dude. And you said something to me. You were like, did you change some of your lyrics? And I was like, yeah, dude, I changed some of my lyrics. I didn't want to like offend you. And you said to me, you're like, no, don't change your lyrics just because I'm in the crowd, dude. Just be yourself, dude. That's what people want to see. They want to see you be yourself, dude. And that literally changed like my whole thinking, dude. Because that one thing you said to me, yeah, dude, I don't know if I've mentioned it to you, but that one thing you said to me, it was just like, oh wow, all I have to do is be myself, and no matter if people agree with me or whatever, like they'll respect me for being myself, dude. And that's what I found out throughout my whole career. Like people, like no one wants to be like an asshole or anything to you. Like people generally aren't like that. People generally are kind and they respect you. And just because you don't agree on certain things doesn't mean that you can't have respect for each other. So that's the one thing I learned for you, dude. And it's honestly been like one of the most important things in my career, So thank you.
That actually, that really stokes me out. And it's like, I mean, it's stuff I've come to on my own, like as an atheist, because I'm sure you saw a lot of the stuff I used to post, and like I've had a weird relationship when it does come to the religion thing, because I mean I was Christian for a while in my life, and like it's been complicated, but I've also just learned like other people's journeys are their journeys. What they feel in this world is true, is what they feel in this world is true, and you have to tell your truth. Like that's the one thing I know about art. Like for art to be good for yourself, like not even for anyone else. And what I'm learning is the more honest you are with yourself and the more you try and just go towards the things you really care about and you really believe in, other people will come on board. And at the same time, it doesn't even matter if other people come on board, because you're going to be happy because you're doing the thing that you love. Like, that makes you you.
100%, dude. 100%. I couldn't say it better myself, dude. All of that is so true, you know. And that's what I try and tell young musicians when they like say ask me for advice, and it's like, you can be the most technical singer or guitarist, you can have the most amazing voice, but if you're not being yourself, people will see right through that and they won't relate to you at all.
And hey, at the same time, there is place for people like that. Like, there's different levels of musician, I guess, with different aspects.
I guess so.
I mean, some musicians don't necessarily need to be the most creative, you know, they just need to be tight.
Yeah.
Like something like when you're hiring someone to like play in a backing band, sometimes of course you would love that creative input, you know, if they're an absolute genius. But sometimes you want someone who's an absolute shredder and can play the songs you wrote better than you could, you know. But but that's different. That's true. There's different aspects of art. I guess that's not necessarily being an artist, but an instrument of art, or I don't know. I don't know how I would put that, but like, I totally. Yeah, I get you. And that's really cool because that show wasn't that well attended, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
it was an
not at all, dude.
It was, there were like only a handful. That was Art Matthews. Hey, he put that gig together, I think.
Yes, he put that gig together.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, it wasn't well attended, but like, it wasn't like I'd
a bad
ever
show.
Really done many. Well, no, I hadn't done really that many shows up to then, you know, like I hadn't gone outside of, where was I living, of Belito, Salt Rock area. So it was cool for me, like come to town, cool runnings. Ooh, this cool name, you know. I've seen this jewel on like little videos on Facebook and stuff, and I was just happy, dude. I was just happy to see different people, dude. Like I miss the novelty of that, you know, of just playing to a new crowd and not knowing what to expect. And I only had like, I guess, 2 or 3 of my own songs, and I would play covers, and it's just like those times like you can't get back, you know. And it's I mean, that'll hopefully never happen again where I have a little bit of people, but it's just it's a cool time, man.
Yeah, like I remember that being, I think that was the first time I saw you play live on your own, and like just being fascinated by your looping and stuff, and like seeing like I don't know if Jeremy Loops was around at that time yet, or had just started at that time, but like it wasn't really a thing like in South African music to you know, have someone looping, and I was totally like, this is interesting, you know, this is really cool. I like where you're going with it, and that's why like I think I said to you like, you know, just do your thing, because you're already on that path, you know, you're already on the path of creating your own style, your own sound, and doing the thing you wanted to do. You just needed to actually be completely authentic, and like. That's the thing. You are, you know, a Christian dude. Like, that is the one thing. I mean, not the one thing, but, you know, one of the main things I do know about you. And it would be silly for you to try and hide that, you know, to try and make a career, because I think that would have worked out badly for you. Like, honestly, like, I think just being open about it and writing the songs you do, but you don't, you know, preach to anyone. You're not being overt, like, in your songs. And I think that's also, you know, pretty smart. But what is the plan when it comes to that? When you are writing songs, you know, about your love of Jesus, what are you thinking? Because obviously, you know, you're thinking about what Jesus is going to think about the song, I would assume. And you're also thinking, you know, I want this to be on radio. I want this to maybe, you know, touch other people outside of Christianity, people within Christianity. What's going on in your mind there?
That's a good question, dude. It's changed over the years because, you know, as I've been in the industry longer, I've learned what kind of works and what the radio stations will accept and what they won't accept, you know. So when I started, I was just like, I'm just gonna write what I feel, and if these are the lyrics, then these are the lyrics. I'm not gonna take anything out or put anything in or change anything. And it's still gonna relate to a lot of people, you know. So in the beginning, I used to write a lot about love, and people can relate to that in their own way, you know. So my songs were about my love for God and Jesus, but people would take it in another way, you know. And that's cool. That's exactly what I really love about music, is it's not necessarily black and white. You know, it's like people have different interpretations of songs. You know, it doesn't have to be just one thing. You know, and I always enjoyed that. And gradually, dude, like the music business, you get into the music business, and it's like the radio station's like, we're not playing your song because you said God. Like, what?
Really?
Dude, yeah, dude. It's so weird, dude. Like, every now and then something like that happens, you know, like when I'm working with my label and they'll say things like that. I'll be like, what are you talking about? Ariana Grande just released a song where she said God is a woman. What's the difference? They're like, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's a lot of back and forth, and it's a lot of sometimes trying to push for things and trying to just find a happy medium, you know, because now this is, before it wasn't really my career. Now this is my career. So there's so much to think
There's way
about.
more concerns.
Like, you know, it's like, there's way more concerns. But sometimes I'm just like, cool, whatever, man. I'm just going to say whatever I want to say. And if it doesn't get on the radio, that's okay. We'll find other ways to kind of get it to the people, you know. And if it gets big enough, then they'll have to play it on the radio, you know. And the radio has supported me a lot. But it's just like, sometimes it is a game, you know.
How much does having a label help and hinder that process? Because obviously, like, with a label, they help get a song out there, but at the same time, there's, you know, concerns about recouping expenses and costs and making money in that. So you can't just, you know, put a song on SoundCloud like and send it out there when you are working with a label. So what are some of the concerns there?
So in the beginning of my career, I knew nothing, dude. Like, I knew nothing at all. I didn't research anything, and I knew nothing. So the label was super, super helpful to me. Like, they kind of got me with the right people. They invested a lot in me. They hooked me up with some festivals.
Who is your label
and
again?
things like that. Universal.
Okay, yeah.
Universal. But very, very different times, you know, like these were back in the days. It sounds like a long time ago. This is like 5 years ago. But
Feels
when there
like a
was
lifetime
still
ago.
kind of it feels like a lifetime, yeah. But there was still kind of A&R in labels. So like, it was like real A&R, like, you know, like they would invest time in people and invest a lot of money, you know.
Not just scroll Twitter.
Yeah. So they were really, really good with me in the beginning. So like I would have been silly to have kind of not listened to what they had to say, because I knew nothing. So like, what would I say, you know? So they were super helpful. But now, like, you know, I've been with them for 5 years, I think, and I've learned a lot of things just from being in the industry with them for so long, you know. So now it's like you kind of look for a different value from the label, you know. Like Universal is a huge label. Like, they are huge, and they've got a lot of distribution. They've got a lot of deals with different companies, and so it's more like that type of thing, you know, like more, I want to say, big picture stuff. But yeah,
Everything has to have a plan.
That's what I look. And everything has to have a plan. And you know, we won't, I won't say we fight, but we might not. Sometimes we don't see eye to eye on things. And
I mean, I would be
know,
surprised if
like,
you'd like if you know you were just okay with everything, and like if the label was just okay with everything from your side. Like, there's always going to be butting of heads.
100%. Because at the end of the day, they're a business, you know.
And one of the biggest. Like, they're literally, you know, one of the big five. So it's like they've got big concerns.
And it's
yeah, because they're just going to tell you,
reminding myself,
you know, the numbers say this, and you're like, no, but I'm telling you this is good. This is going to actually do well. And they're like, don't believe in you, or well, I mean, I don't know the exact stories for yourself, but like, I know it's happened with other people at times, and there can be some creative differences there. But then also sometimes those people go on without the label and try to put out those things and find out the label were right. And other times, you know, the label was wrong. So it's it's a tough tough little balance there.
It's tough, man. But at the end of the day, it's just people, you know, it's people just trying their best and everyone's just trying to do their job, So as I've gotten a bit older, I've tried to not take it too personally and just try and take the advice and just try and work with them, because sometimes I still feel privileged that I'm still with them, because I've seen guys come and go, and for whatever reason they've stuck with me, and I'm like, okay, cool, let's work on this. And I dig the guys, I really do dig the guys, and so we just try and work as closely as we can together, and just be respectful,
I guess that's the thing, like, we see big labels as big labels, which they are, but the teams that you work with are often quite small. Like when it comes to being a musician working with a big label, you have your team, like your 3 or 4 people who run through everything with you. So it can
100%.
I guess it can become like a little bit of a family vibe.
100%, dude, 100%.
One silly question I wanted to ask you was, did things get a little weird for you when Sho Madjozi started to have her come up? Like, were people confused?
Dude, I'll tell you funny stories, dude. So, like, when she was first I've got like an alert on my name
for Google,
on Google, just to check, like, if I miss anything, and like every now and then, like, a Sho Madjozi would pop up, and I'd be like, who is this? Like, this is way back, and like she was still kind of underground. And then the one time she was playing at Daisy's, and like my mates were messaging me like, you're playing Daisy's, and I'm like, no, I'm not playing Daisy's. Let me go and check this thing here quickly. And I saw her name. This is still years ago, and I was like, oh wow, okay, cool. She's obviously coming up now, but also her name is spelled differently to mine.
The D.
It's mad. Yeah, and I thought, oh damn, I wish I did that. That's so cool. I love that. And then, dude, all of a sudden she just exploded, and I would just get like Twitter messages, like full inbox, dude, like at least like 30 messages a day from people asking to like dance at my shows and just like random things. And I'd be like, wow, this is not for me, like dancing to her songs. And like gradually she's like, well, actually over the last year or two, she's exploded.
Yeah,
dude.
she's an international sensation now.
Yeah, dude. And because everyone spells her name wrong, I see everything that she does, dude, everything. And it's like, I mean, I can't be irritated at it, because it's so cool to see how well she's done. And it's encouraging to see, South Africans do well.
Of course, but I can imagine when you see those alerts, like you must be wanting it to just say Majozi, like just Majozi or / Majozi, like no, it's
just 100%, dude. But she's really nice, and her team's really nice, and I've met her since, and I've been like, I'm just gonna keep forwarding you the messages that I get, like. But it has been interesting, dude.
That could be a fun collab, though.
I think like, if I've tried, dude, I'm still trying. I think it's cool for me now, dude. She's gonna be in the next Black Panther movie or something. She's cool. She's really, she's really cool. But yeah,
what were you thinking in the back of your head there?
Dude, it's been. No, sometimes I wonder, like, I'm like, did some people forget about me because of her and be like, Majozi? No, Sho Madjozi, and they just like throw me aside.
It was always
a new,
Bernstein Bears like situation, like the Mandela effect is happening to you. People are always gonna be like, there was never a Madjozi, there was only ever a Sho Madjozi.
100%. Even when I type my name in Google, it says, "Did you mean Sho Madjozi?" And it's like, oh, that hurts, Google.
That is hurtful. But at least like when you Google you, like you still come up. For me, if I like type in Bob Perfect, half of it is haircuts. It's a woman with like perfect Bob haircuts. So to me, like I'll know my career is actually like successful the day like that the first few images for Bob Perfect like are actually just pictures of me. Like then I can be like, I made it. Like that to me will be a signifier. Oh,
that's hilarious, dude.
But it's kind of funny though to just think about like that you're at a stage in your life where you even have Google alerts on, like, looking back at just looping guitar at Cool Runnings, like that's kind of
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting. But what is your day-to-day life like outside of Corona? Like, what is it like
Outside
being
of Corona.
yeah, what's it like being a professional, solo musician in South Africa?
Before the Corona hits, or right now?
No, before.
Before, man, yeah, it was just a lot of playing shows. So most weekends is spent traveling. So, catch a flight to Joburg or somewhere else, because a
So
lot
is
of the
most of
shows
your
I play
income
are,
that way?
yeah, pretty much 90% of it. And I really enjoyed it, man. Like that's the one thing I miss. The other thing I miss actually about living in these times is just flying to like another province, playing a show, meeting interesting people,
Seeing
and
old friends.
the old friends. And this way, like I've actually got to see a lot of the country.
Yep.
I've been to the most random places, dude. Like just before
Little small
the
town
Corona hit.
festivals.
Yeah, I played in like a small steel mining town like a couple of months ago, and it was like, dude, it was like a mining town. There was like one tavern and like one big barn, and we played in the barn. And it was super random, but it was super cool, because you drive quite a ways and you get to see like the beautiful landscapes of the country that I otherwise would have never have seen. Like,
And the person who
and
booked you is almost always an interesting character. Like, apart from
always,
the
dude,
small towns, like the
always,
small town pub
yeah,
owners are always the
yeah,
most interesting people with like mad stories. Because I know when I've done comedy like down the coast and like, in small
yeah,
little towns, and you land up having, like for myself, like I land up having a beer like with the owners afterwards, and it's just like fascinating tales.
yeah. No, it's really really cool, man. So yeah, that was my life, pretty much. And then like in the week, depending on where I was in my album schedule, if I was either promoting an album or writing new songs, I would do some interviews during the week.
So you're
I
pretty much
gym a
always
lot.
on an album schedule of sorts.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, for some reason, you think it ends, but it doesn't really. Like even if I'm not really promoting an album, the radio stations know that I live close by. So, they'll just give me a call and be like, "Hey, can you pop in tomorrow and talk about like whatever?" And I'll be like, "Cool, I'll come in." So you develop different relationships, and yeah, it was just pretty much my life, man. Just playing shows, meeting people, just trying to perfect my craft as well. A lot of practicing during the week. Practice at home. I've got like a band up here that we practice with. It's always fun, So yeah, that was life before Corona.
And now,
Now, dude, it's been interesting, dude. I'll say for the first week, it was like kind of nice. It was like, okay, cool. I was feeling a little bit of pressure because I don't know. Sometimes things don't go exactly the way you planned. Like my last album didn't do as well as I'd hoped, and I was like, just trying to write new songs. And I was supposed to go to Canada and play some shows, so I was like trying to practice so I'd be good enough for people. It's like it's quite a high caliber of people, that were playing at the thing I was playing. So I was like, okay, cool. Trying to hone that, feeling a bit stressed. Then Corona hit, so I was like, okay, cool. I don't have to do any of this anymore. Like no one expects anything from me, And that was like for a minute, it was freeing. Then it was like after 2 weeks, it's like, okay, cool. Oh, we've got another 2 weeks, and it's like, okay, cool. I can survive. And then it's like another couple of weeks. It's like, oh my gosh, how am I going to survive? My income comes from playing shows. But I've
yeah.
been fortunate, dude. Like I've done some like live shows. I'm doing like an ad soon, and like I've been super, super fortunate where I've been able to maintain. But for a couple of weeks, I had the mumps, which was crazy.
I
I
saw
was
that
like,
on your Instagram.
Dude, it was. Have you ever had the mumps?
When I was a kid, yeah. Like,
Okay. Well, like I didn't know what it was, dude. I just woke up with like
it's
a huge
horrible.
swelling on my one side at like 2 a.m. and I was like, what is this? Like, I don't know what's going on, yeah. And I was like, oh well, the body does weird things. And I woke up and it was still there. And I was like, let me message my doctor friend. And I was like, hey, dude, my like side is really swollen and it's like super painful around my jaw. And he's like, oof, you might have the mumps. Just go to the pharmacy, take this stuff, and then we'll see what happens. And I was like, okay. I was like, what's the mumps? It's like, don't worry about it. It's going to be painful. But just unless it gets to your balls, then you don't have to worry. I was like, to my balls? What do you mean? whoa, slow up.
No,
Here, dude.
I'm
I said
worried
it's in my
now.
jaws.
Like, I'm worried now. You've mentioned something very
Yeah,
important there
dude.
that could happen. Like,
Exactly, dude. I was like, yo, hold on there. Say that again. But anyways, dude, I mean, I took painkillers and like it worked. And, but it was just, I'm not used to taking pills. So like, I just kind of was conked out the whole day for like 2 weeks, dude. And so I spent a lot of my lockdown like that. And I just been making little videos. My girlfriend helps me make these little videos that I put up on
yeah.
Instagram. So
Lockdown,
just trying
lockdown. Yeah, I watch them.
Yeah, dude. Uh, it's been fun, dude, and just trying to. It's actually I've enjoyed that as well because I was after the months I was trying to write a lot of stuff and get back into playing a bit because it makes me happy. Like it's my kind of therapy,
Yeah.
But it's actually been fun doing these videos and just giving myself a little bit of space from music for a little bit, like just trying to just take a break from it, because I've been doing it for so long, like every day, and I love it. Like I enjoy it.
Well, yeah.
Like
How long has
it's
it been your
nice
job
to
for?
know,
Like, roughly.
dude. I think it's been like 6 years,
Yeah, that's.
and
Yeah, to be a full-time musician for that long, it's nice to finally have a bit of a break.
yeah. And that's the thing, like people, it doesn't just stop at shows, it's like you're constantly writing lyrics and practicing and playing and thinking about things and doing admin and pushing songs and doing interviews and doing written interviews and just like constantly thinking about it, and it's just been nice to have like a little bit of a break from that in my headspace where I'm kind of like this. There's not really much I can do right now. I'm doing a little bit of things here and there, like almost finished a single. But it's been like, it's honestly been a lot more freeing than I thought it would be. So,
Yeah, I get that. I mean, that's the thing. Like, for those of us who do have like the privileges that we have, there have been advantages to this. Of course, it's been horrific, in a lot of ways. Like, I've had some lows, as people listening to this podcast know, in these
yeah,
times. But at the same time, like, I'm very much in the same situation as you, where it's like
yeah,
I'm trying to utilize this time. I'm not really taking a break. I'm just like I'm definitely utilizing social media to have some fun when I need it. Like, my Instagram stories are like full of me lip syncing and dancing and just having a good time because I'm working on things that I think are going to help with my future long term now. And it's just nice
yeah.
to have but that's also the thing. For me, it's like this period's just really been who are you and what are you doing? Like that's what I've taken from it.
100%, dude. 100%, dude. Like I've also had also like lows. Like I mean, as freeing as it's been, like being stuck at home, you kind of learn a lot about yourself. You have to really deal with things. Deal and
Yeah, when you
I
look into the
think a
void,
lot of
the void looks back.
yeah, man. And a lot of the time I had that escape of being able to leave and play shows and kind of be fed by the energy of people.
And you're always on
And
the move,
now
always
like
doing something.
100%. And now I've been at home, so I've had to like process a lot of things, dude. There's been a lot of days when I've just been like, I haven't got up from bed, but it's like, but it's been good for me, dude. Like, this is kind of what I needed, like, and luckily I am privileged enough where I'm not gonna die, I'm not gonna starve or anything, like, and I've tried to remember that I'm in this privileged position, like, even though things aren't anywhere near ideal for me, I'm still alive, I'm still well, I'm still healthy, I still got a nice roof over my head. Like, there's so much for me to be grateful for, even though there's so much that I want to do and that I used to do and I can't do now. There's still a lot of things, like we were just talking about, like, having like webcams and like setting up this, and you doing this thing right now, like, which is really cool, dude. Like, I'm also trying to do like a podcast with some mates, because it's like, oh well, I've got some stuff here, I really enjoy this, and it's like you just make do with what you got.
Yeah, that's I mean that's been like a large portion of my 2 months, because I haven't got all the equipment I need, and like I've been trying to, like, with the almost live thing, I've been trying to do stuff, but like my computer doesn't have enough RAM and my like internet connection isn't good enough, so I have to do it other ways. I have to do it via cell phone, and I have to like just find different ways to do things. But that's the thing, you've just got to be adaptable in this life, and you've also just got to be thankful and grateful for what you have and the opportunities that you do have to to be able to, even if the RAM on my computer and my internet connection aren't good enough, that I can find another program that does the thing that I want to do. That like you can still find ways to create. Like, even though for yourself, like, you might not have the correct mic that you need, maybe that gives you an opportunity to put a vocal filter over, and like have some sort of post-production, like, that changes things, like that just means, more needs to be done in post, essentially. And like, maybe that's stuff you can now learn. So yeah, dude, I'm with you there. Like, it's obviously different for different people. It's like, it depends on where you're at. But this is just, thankfully for us, where we're at. And I think thankfully for a lot of people listening to this, because if you're listening to podcasts right now, you probably have it okay. Like, not great, but you probably have it okay. I mean, I think one of the things I did want to ask you, because you mentioned it's a part of the job, do you enjoy doing press, or do you feel like you wish you could rather just always be making music?
It depends. So in the beginning, I loved it, dude. Because I was like, wow,
people care.
I like exactly. My PR agent would always be amazed, because she would send me a bunch of questions from different newspapers, and I'd answer them straight away and send it back like straight away. And she'd be like, wow, now I'll send it back like 3 days later.
Because it's work.
Because you just, it gets a lot. And, it's a lot of like the same questions. So you're just answering the same questions. But at the end of the day, I am super grateful that people are interested and they are helping promote the music. But I've always admired like Daniel Day-Lewis, man. He just comes in. He does a movie, doesn't say anything. No one knows anything about that guy. Like, no one. He just is a boss actor, and that's it, dude. And I've kind of admired that. Like, the older I'm getting, I'm kind of like, oh, I want to go that route, But then sometimes, like, some of the guys are my friends, like, so it's like I still want to see those people. I don't know. Yeah, it's always an interesting one. I for the most part I enjoy it. But sometimes I just want to chill.
Like, sometimes it is just going into work and saying the same, like, and reading a script. Like, basically, you're just doing the thing. It's like, okay, I'm promoting the album. They're going to ask me these questions. I already know how I'm going to answer that. But obviously, like, stuff like this is different. And, like, that's why I do this now, because I did the radio thing and I absolutely hated how shallow, like, it has to be, just because of the formatting, just because of the time constraints, just because of how everything is done in media these days. And that's why I like alternative media and like being able to do this. And like, what kind of podcast would you do if you do start up a podcast?
So I've been working on this idea of getting friends in my life that are songwriters. So I listen to a lot of podcasts that are for songwriters. So I'm getting a whole bunch of songwriter friends who have had an impact in my life in one way or another, where there's like a special kind of connection with us, And I'm like, I don't know if I'll share it, I'm just gonna put it together, have some chats with my friends, have a good time, and if I want to, I might put it out there. And then the other half of it also is guys who are more on the business side of the industry, just so I can teach people things, because one of the regrets I have about when I started my career is that I didn't know anything. Like, I didn't listen to anything. I didn't know a thing. And I want to kind of give guys an idea of what it's like to be in the music industries, what you should be doing, and who you should be talking to, and what to look out for. So I just want
what
to
different people actually do for you, I think that would be very helpful.
Dude, yeah, I still discover all these things every day. Like, sometimes I walk through Universal, I'll be like, what does this lady do? And then they'll be like, oh, this lady does brands. I'm like, brands? What? What do you mean brands? And it's like, oh, there's a whole section dedicated to working with brands and different things. So, like, there's so much stuff to consider,
And it is a part of the industry that's like kind of mired in secrecy. Like no one really knows what's going, like, unless you're in it. Like when you you say, like when you were starting out, like you don't know really what's going into, like, even the small record label, but like a big record label, like you say, there's people there that you have no clue what they're doing, but they're helping you get ahead.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's also like, there's so many people who are killing it in the independent realm as well. And it's like, you can do, I mean, you don't necessarily have to sign with a band, you can do all these things. This is what you have to do: get your publishing in place, sign, make sure you're with Samro, and just all this stuff that you can do before you even think about signing with a label. Because sometimes maybe the labels just are like, your music's not for us. Doesn't mean you must stop. You just carry on going, So
just because they can't sell it doesn't mean it's not sellable. Like, that's something
100%, dude. There's Chance the Rapper, man. He's been like a huge inspiration of mine, dude. Just watching his career and seeing like him kind of stay independent, and like make big deals. He's all over TV. Like, people love him. He's always on Ellen. He's always on SNL. And he's done that like independently. Granted, he's had a lot of help, but they've worked really hard and cultivated like a good business model where he is, So I just want to try and educate people maybe that wouldn't have otherwise have known how to do things.
Cool. Well, I'm looking forward to having another podcast on the market then. Something for me to listen to instead of putting them out there. I do want to say thank you so much for your time, bro. This has been such a dope chat, and it's just been cool catching up with you. Like, we haven't chatted in quite a long time. I can't even remember the last time you were in Durban. Man. So like, and that I think was the last time I saw you. So it's been a while since we chatted. But this has been cool, man. It's been really cool catching up. It's been cool getting nostalgic, and just learning more about how things have worked for you, because I think it's quite valuable for people to see, what it's really like to be a proper professional musician who's signed to a major label. Like, that's not a perspective that people often get, So thanks for your time,
thanks,
bro.
Man. I appreciate it, man. And just thank you, dude, for all the things that you're doing, dude. Like, keep doing what you're doing. Like, I really respect you, dude, as you're one of the people like in Durban that I'm always like, what's Bob doing? Like, I want to know what he's doing, like, because you've done a lot of stuff, dude.
Yeah, I'm always doing something.
I know it's thankless at times, dude, but just know that people do enjoy it, and there are people out there rooting for you, man.
Yeah, bro, I appreciate that. Thank you so much, dude. Cool.
Thanks,
We'll
man.
chat again soon. Later, bro.